TenZ is the first big superstar in all of Valorant. He is hands
Mhm.
down the best player that we've seen. Yeah, you know, we love Wardell, we love Mixwell, and that conversation happened when the game came out. TenZ came out and he said, no, I'm king. This is my game. He has run the tables. You take a look at his stat lines, he's leading the way in just about everything. If there's a Michael Jordan without rings in Valorant, TenZ is that guy. But Uber, he's taking a step back, man. I don't know how to feel about this. I feel sad.
Guys, great to be here once more. My second week back, and we've got a ton to talk about. First of all, let's dive in and talk about this TenZ and C9 story, because my God, there's so much to talk about. Let's start though. Let's start with TenZ. Who is TenZ for those that aren't initiated?
TenZ is, Vans, you know him from Counter-Strike, so I'm gonna let you lead the way, man.
Super simple, and exactly that. I mean, we were talking about I was going to steal your lines. Veli, you stole my line. He comes from Counter-Strike. He's played for a while. I mean, he had his stint with Bad News Bears. I think this is where he got picked up, or at least noticed, because a lot of players back in like the NBL pro scene also went through and got recycled through that roster. We're looking at Dazzle, we're looking at Relics, we're looking at PTR, that of course is still playing Counter-Strike, but there's a lot of players that went through there, and TenZ got noticed and then got picked up by Cloud9. The thing is, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but Cloud9, he had his short stint with that team in CSGO. They didn't have that many results, many good results. He eventually went inactive in that team and then decided to switch to Valorant. And then that's where we all know and love the potential that TenZ has now in Valorant in NA.
No, it's not potential. Potential is something that we can see in somebody. See
Potential for a team.
TenZ shows us what his potential is out the gate, right? TenZ is the first big superstar in all of Valorant. He is hands down the best player that we've seen. Yeah, you know, we love Wardell, we love Mixwell, and that conversation happened when the game came out. TenZ came out and he said, no, I'm king. This is my game. He has run the tables. You take a look at his stat lines, he's leading the way in just about everything. If there's a Michael Jordan without rings in Valorant, TenZ is that guy. But Uber, he's taking a step back, man. I don't know how to feel about this. I feel sad.
Right, obviously, yeah, okay. The uncrowned king of NA Valorant, if you want to sort of call it that. I mean, we've heard from even other players maybe begrudgingly admit that he just individually, mechanically, in terms of his mindset, in terms of his creativity. I mean, let's think back to him using Jet and shotgun so aggressively, right? Just sort of revolutionizing. An agent that people kind of thought was a little underpowered initially. They were like, she has some mobility, but does that really translate to anything? And TenZ really showed up. This, I don't know about you guys, this feels like a pretty big blow for Valorant esports in general to lose a competitor like this to, as TenZ has sort of said, to content creation and streaming for the time being.
It's a huge blow, man. It's a huge blow. I think a lot of people would think, and I would think as well, that he's one of the best players in the world. So for him to actually decide to already switch to content creation, I think you're trying to question a little bit, like, where is it going right now for TenZ? Like, how has things been going for him within the team with Cloud9? Do they have like the winning solution? Did he wanted to stick a little bit longer and try to rebuild, or what was the general direction of Cloud9 as well? And maybe if those two don't match together, maybe that's why he wanted to take a step down, right? I mean, we'll talk about him saying that he wants to come back a little bit later, but I think it's a huge blow. I think it's the biggest news in Valorant for since last week.
Now, obviously, the show is about us ranting, basically, unsolicited opinions that we sort of foist on you every single episode. But there were a lot of pro players that actually sort of shared their opinions on what they thought this kind of meant, right? So I kind of, first of all, I mean, we got a bit of context behind this move when we saw Kaide, who is TenZ's significant other. She actually sort of tweeted in support and solidarity of TenZ, but sort of saying, you know, it's clear to see that this is a decision that makes you happier. You know, looking forward to seeing you compete again, and then sort of saying, hey, you know, Lands are coming back soon. So
she knows what she's doing with that, Uber. She knows.
Hey, listen. I mean, fair enough. Obviously, she could have probably just said it to TenZ in person, but she, you know, tweets it. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I think through all of this, it was pretty clear to see that TenZ definitely craved that LAN experience, right? That online wasn't quite the same for him. But let's not even before TenZ's departure, Van Silly, there was already changes being made in this Cloud9 roster. They were very much, in transition,
Yeah.
between players and even styles.
And even then, before I get into the whole story of TenZ, I actually want to talk about the whole story of Cloud9, because when you're actually thinking about bashing about TenZ of like, hey, he kind of gave up in CSGO. Now it seems like he's given up in Valorant as well. I don't think that's the case, because when you look at Cloud9 and CSGO, what have they been doing since they've won that major with that roster in like 2018? They were trying to find a winning solution since then. So it went from automatic to bringing in like Golden at some point. They had Cajun B at some point, I think, too. They had Flusha, automatic, Kusta. None of that worked out. And then TenZ came in to try to revitalize because he was an up-and-coming rising star in the CSGO scene. That didn't pay out. And look at them in 2020 now. Like, just a few days ago, they announced that one of the biggest buyouts and players that they brought into the roster, in Woxic, they already dropped him after 3 months of play with Cloud9. So they're still finding that solution. So it's not really TenZ's fault that he wanted to give up on CSGO. It's just maybe it's not the right chemistry or the right solution for them to win. And that could be the case now in Valorant too. Because I don't know, I think we just saw the achievements there from TenZ in the past with Cloud9. It's been out since May, June. And have they won anything outside of like smaller tournaments? Look at this. If you're looking like a B tier for Elite Esports, I haven't really heard about this event, and not to knock on the tournaments, right? But when you're thinking Ignition Series, First Strike, have they won anything? No, they haven't even qualified for First Strike. They got second place at the highest at the PAX Arena Invitational. Immortal First.
The results get worse. They actually get worse.
Yes.
Exactly.
And,
so
and, go ahead, Van.
Yeah, sorry. I just think at that point, like, you're in a place where you're like, I need to find a winning solution, a winning team. Is it going to continue with Cloud9? Maybe not. Maybe that's why I want to switch to content creation. He's got a great thing going on with his significant other, with Kaide right now, with the content creation that they have. It's cute. It's adorable. It's freaking hilarious. I love watching it too. And that builds his brand. And then hopefully when LAN comes back, then maybe he's going to find a team that fits his playstyle.
Yo, Uber, can I spit it to you for real right now for a second?
Hit
Protection,
me,
if you can hear me, show their placements and the money they won. I'm going to let y'all know now, if I am the best player in the game and I am settling for $1,000, $1,500, $1,250.
That Pulse one, the $3,000, forget about that. Whoa, don't even get paid out.
Whoa.
Right, it comes back every week.
But not only that, but the JBL Quantum Cup, a whopping nothing. Yo, This guy is balling out of control, man. And the thing is, so him stepping back, and I was looking at Reddit, and I was very disappointed when people were like, oh, he's a quitter, he's a quitter, he's a quitter.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's frustrating. Imagine giving normal people, normal people don't understand the stress and pressure that comes from being a professional gamer, being in this type of scene. And if you're giving your all to beat the best players in the world and continue being the best player in the world, and you're winning $1,000, in these tournaments, getting 5th to 8th place. What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? And you know what? At that point in time, it's like, okay, is the stress worth it? We're not winning. I want to play on LAN. This isn't fun. Losing is not fun. I'm sorry, but if I'm losing
nobody
all the
wants
time,
to lose.
Guess what? I'm gonna quit too. I'm gonna be a quitting ass, dude. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is,
you're gonna be a quitting ass. All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a quitting ass dude, right? But the thing is, you know what? Take a look at streaming. Obviously, TenZ wants to play. He wants to compete. It's in his blood. Ex-pro gamers, you know what I'm saying? They could speak out there and agree with me. At a point in time, you just got to take the losing, take a step back, reevaluate everything that's happening with the team and what you're doing in life, and say, you know what? I need this break. Let me stream. Let me clear my head. And I want to come back when the time is right. And I believe TenZ said what I said towards the end. I don't think this is going to be the last time we see him. I think he's waiting for the right opportunity, Uber. I think we're going to see more TenZ. It is a crime that he's not competing in Valorant, but you know what? I respect his decision, even though it might bite him.
All right. Well, we can touch back on this as well, because we can deal with the information as it comes. This is like an episode of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, right? For some of us it was quite a shock, right? Exactly. For some of us it was quite a shock. For some, it wasn't really. Let's hear a little bit of what Steel had to say about this move on Hiko's stream.
What? Remember when I was asked on stream about Shinobi and TenZ, and I said if they cut Shinobi, TenZ will leave? And everyone's like, no,
Yeah, I remember.
I remember.
Are you just trying to say you were right
Again,
and you're always right? Is that what you're trying to say?
not always right.
Okay.
People need to stop being fucking idiots and closing their ears and going la 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 la. That's not what I want to hear.
Oh, okay.
Can I just say,
love
first
that.
of all, I really feel Steel right now because there is no better straw man or scapegoat for like your argument than using Reddit or just like random plebs on the internet. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
people need to open their ears to shit. There's always going to be someone on Reddit with like a ridiculous take that you can just like deconstruct and break down, and you can look really smart.
Like our show.
Okay, but exactly. But there's a link here. There's a link here between TenZ and Shinobi. And we know, like back when Shinobi got dropped from the team, TenZ felt so strongly about it that he felt he needed to sort of make a tweet longer saying, hey,
True.
I am friends with Shinobi. We're mates. We've played together for so long. This wasn't my decision. So he felt strongly about saying that. And
So rough.
what do you guys think about this? Like, do you think that maybe that was when things started to break down, that maybe TenZ starts to diverge from management when Shinobi gets cut from the team?
Mm.
Man, so let me get this for a second, man.
Yeah, go
First
ahead.
off, you treat TenZ like he's LeBron, a really light-skinned version of LeBron James. And you know what? If he says that that's his friend and he wants to play with his friend, then guess what? You get the best player in the game, his friend to play with, and you give the best player in the game the opportunity to continue building up his team, man. That, the fact that other people knew about that now, and it was obviously public and private, you know what I'm saying, right? It was public and private. People knew, and knowing that and still going off with that move, yo, what's happening behind the scenes, baby? Cloud9, come on, we had a lot of hope and faith in you guys. I still do, but TenZ, man.
Yeah, I think in the end you're thinking about it too from the point of view of, is Shinobi going to be able to bring those numbers up in terms of the fragging department? I mean, he has a great mind in the game. I've talked about this before. He's a great IGL, but maybe he doesn't have that in terms of helping the team succeed in terms of frags, clutches, playing as a Sova. I see a lot of Sova players are able to clutch. I haven't seen that much from Shinobi, unfortunately. And when you look at Shinobi now, he's in a place where he's looking to maybe coach. So that said, is it going to be a possibility where TenZ kind of wants to sit down to say, look, there's maybe a better value of a win-win situation if somebody buys me out, I'm able to play for another team that maybe Shinobi could coach for me, while Cloud9 will get a winning player and release that salary cap to bring another player in that could really help Cloud9 become Cloud9 and not the TenZ and friends of before. Like, even we're going to talk about it later for the Winners Championship for NSG, but Cloud9 definitely looked like Cloud9 in that event. So if they're able to find those two players, is it going to be Leaf? Is it going to be official Zeta later on?
It's Mitch and the bitches now, isn't it? We'll touch on that in a second, right?
Exactly.
But, I love that I could hear the shit-eating grin on Steel's, in Steel's
100%,
voice, but
100%.
he kind of gives us a little bit more of a nuanced take on what this means. So let's maybe involve that now in our discussion when we get the clip.
Oh. Somebody said, what are your takes on the TenZ situation? This is more of a question for the bigger picture of being a streamer versus being a pro. I think that most people these days know that you can make a lot more money and your life is a lot less stressful being a streamer than being a pro. You don't have to worry about tournaments. You don't really have to practice. You don't have teammates that rely on you. You don't have a schedule you have to make. People aren't, if they, like yesterday, there's a big content patch that came out. I would have loved to be able to stream it, but we had practice. So there's no doubt that the streamer life is not only more financially rewarding, you make way more money being a streamer to begin with, but then also your just life in general just has way less stress. You don't have to worry about a bunch of stuff. So, I personally think every individual has a different prerogative and a different desire in life, whether that's, do they want to make money? Do they want to, actually play pro? Do they like the competition? Do they want to be able to travel to tournaments? There's all this kind of stuff. And I think with me, it's, if I didn't have the drive and the desire to actually be a pro, I wouldn't, especially at 30, almost 31. So each person's different. I'm not retiring. It's not what we're just talking about TenZ. I don't know if you missed it, but TenZ announced that he stepped down from Cloud9's competitive roster, so he's going to be a full-time streamer for now, I guess, until he comes back, apparently. But yeah, I mean, I can't blame him. If I was in his shoes, it would be a consideration for myself as well, especially if I wasn't, super excited or super happy about being a pro and having all these kind of responsibilities. I do think it's a little weird though that I think it's, I don't want to use the word weird, but I think it's just an interesting situation that a lot of people see him as one of the best players in maybe even the world, at least in the US. His aim is insane and his mechanics are really, really good, and he's just so far ahead of everybody. I feel like him retiring right now, it'll be, if he stays retired for like too long, it'll be too hard for him to come back. The meta's going to change. I mean, playing in a team is just so much different than just playing comp.
Okay, so I really like how he buttons it up at the end, but let's start with him pointing out the fact that when you start to become a popular streamer, the entire landscape changes for you. Like the motivation for competing for many players is definitely monetary, for prize money, right? But when you start realizing that you can make more, I mean, Veli, we looked over the prize money, the winnings of C9. We've got to believe that TenZ is doing much better than that now, and the whole landscape changes for you. Then, as a competitor, do you just mail it in and stream and make more money, or do you still have such a desire to win that you want to keep competing?
Did you see how many subs Hiko had while he was talking? The man had like over 4,500 subs. Now, my math is some ass, but by my calculations, that's more than 15 grand a month. Like
more than $2.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like,
He's chilling.
streaming is a play, but then it was really funny when old ass Hiko, trust me, I'm your age too, Hiko. When he was talking about, if I was his age, motherfucker, that was a decade ago. We way past that now. The difference is TenZ is still young. He's still young. So that's why I'm not taking this full face. Like, this is what he's going to be, just a content creator. No, there's still talent out there. And plus, you still have unhappy superstars out there. Well, shit. If I'm Cloud9, I'm flying Scream out to NA, and we surrounding them with a bunch of role players. We winning championships, baby. I don't know what to think, but this is emotional. This is weird. And the simple thing is, he has a point, Van Silly, for the simple point that he's not going to keep up with the meta. Okay, he's not going to keep up with the meta at all. It's one thing to watch and be on top of it. That's what we do as casters and analysts, right? But actually playing it, going through the reps, the dry runs, that's a whole different level of preparing and being a professional player that we would ever do. That's insane. And he's going to miss out on that. And the meta is always changing. The game is brand new, Van.
But you brought things up here, Veli. You said that TenZ is young. So first off, he's still very young. Second of all, we talk about the meta, but we've also mentioned that he's also made the meta. When we talked about the jet with the shotgun and the dashes, he invented that shit. Maybe Rob Wiz did a bit, but the one that really put it into the spotlight for me was TenZ. And then you look at, if he's going to join a team, everybody knows the potential that he has. So if they trust into the building process with a lot of the teams that are trying to up and come, or a team that knows the potential of TenZ, that knows he is the missing piece that's going to help them win, they're okay to maybe suffer for a month or two to make sure that TenZ is able to catch up. But since TenZ is very young, and he's still very skilled, he's going to catch up quite quickly. So it's not going to be that much of a detriment for TenZ to be out of the loop. It just depends for how long. If it's a full year, I get it. But hopefully, if COVID is done anytime soon this year, he might still come back within this year. We don't know where this is going yet for TenZ.
Vance, a full year competitive play with a brand new game? You can invent all the shotgun dash metas you want, but a full year? Holy shit.
Here's the other thing, though. No. Here's the other thing, though. If he actually got benched from Cloud9 in CSGO, he also pugged here and there and still practiced and stood in for other organizations, other teams. So, yes, if he's going to be on a full break competing, signed for a whole year, I'm sure he's still going to pug here and there for like the smaller events and make sure that he scrims a tier 2, tier 3, or whatever, or even 10-mans. Like if ESCA and Faceit come out with these type of pay to play type of clients, I'm sure you'll see TenZ compete in that one too, and he'll have some sort of basis of how the meta is currently being played too.
I
All
like
right,
that
nerds,
angle.
let me just cap that one a little bit because we have a couple more pro opinions as well. And Wardell also was a little bit dubious about the length of time that TenZ might take off in this break.
Love you, Vance.
TenZ said he might come back. Oh man, that's rough, man. You lose out on so much experience playing online. Just think about it. Think about it a little bit. People who are playing competitive and you just try to come back and play it online, it's gonna be tough for him, man.
Okay, so I want to make this very clear. People like Hiko and Wardell have a very good reason to say things like this because let's say TenZ does come back after a significant hiatus and then dumpsters them. How does it make them look? How does it make those months of competitive play that, you know, Hiko and Wardell have been engaging in look, right? It benefits them to say that you lose a lot from being out of the loop because they want to justify to themselves why they're playing online right now. And, you know, for maybe sort of dubious amounts of prize money. But, you know, I think you sort of pointed out, Vansili, that, you know, TenZ can still compete to some degree. Obviously, he can still play in scrim environments. The pug scene is pretty healthy in Valorant, as far as I understand. We'll see, you know, how that goes. I kind of we missed out on that in Overwatch. That got canned. Hopefully, Ryan doesn't do that. But, you know, I think we've heard a lot from a lot of these players here, but TenZ did make a statement here. We kind of leave this to the end because we kind of gather up all the facts and info, but let's have a listen to what TenZ said about his situation because I think that's what I really want us to dig into a little bit more before we move on. So let's roll that one.
There's no like really options to play on a stage if there's no tournaments at like a LAN. It's all online right now and they're all region locked. So right now for me, I'm just taking a break and then when everything gets better in the world, I'll probably come back.
Belly, what do you think about TenZ saying, I'll come back once we go to LAN? Like, it definitely, is this a slap in the face to all the other players competing and grinding the online tournaments right now?
No, not at all. I'm going to be completely honest. I think it's a mixture of just COVID bringing us all down. And obviously, LAN it speaks to who TenZ is as an individual. He wants to be there to compete in person. He wants to dumpster you and look you in the face as you fucking cry. And he's fucking, you know, bucking you from 1,000 yards away. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing, right? But he's going to come back. I see it in two ways. I see it, that being one thing, you know, the COVID, I'm not going to say he's depressed, but I call it COVID depression. Makes it sadder than usual, you know what I'm saying? But not only that, but he's not winning. I think ultimately that's just the underlying everything. That's literally it. He's not winning. So he's just going to step back until he has a team that's good enough. I think going to content, okay, that's good on the side, but overall, that is the answer. It is nothing else. The team.
Yeah,
it's wild. It feels like he's like, I'm going to take a break until y'all catch up, and I can surround myself with 4 players that are on my level.
Technically, it's true.
It happens in real sports. Take a look at the NFL, right? Like Calvin Johnson. I don't know if you guys watch football or not. The guy was a freak of nature. Literally TenZ at the wide receiver position. But he's on the worst team in the league. He retires at an early age because it's just not worth it. Why put yourself through that type of pressure and just mental fucking stress? It's not worth it.
I mean, Le'Veon Bell went to the Jets. He's not the only one to have done that.
You know, but you get what I'm saying, Uber. Yeah. That's ultimately it, man. I feel bad for him.
I think my assumption from listening to that clip from TenZ, even though it's only 3 seconds, I'm being a Reddit comment right now. I just think that TenZ thrives when it comes to playing on stage with a crowd and having the people scream behind him. So, and a lot of pro players want that. And while he doesn't have the opportunity to do that right now, win or lose, at least he's able to play on stage and feed off that environment. And it's okay then to justify $1,000 prize pool that they only won, 3,000 that they won here, or 0 there. But when it comes down to just online circuit only, where he's not winning, where at least getting second place more consistently, or even any first place at all, where it matters, then definitely he's getting more drive and money streaming than playing right now.
I mean, yeah, let's be honest. It's about economy of energy, right? This guy's smart. Like, if he can not stress himself out, having to sort of sometimes be subject to the whims of his teammates or their ability, and if he can just go create content, do stuff that makes him happy, make a ton of money, stay involved in the game, like it really doesn't seem much downside. Listen, TenZ, whatever football player you want to be, just don't be Michael Thomas. He's a freaking bum. He's a bum!